And brand new day. It's time to stop and rank all four Tom Holland Spider-Man movies. My name is Max Thunberg. Welcome back, everyone, to Max Talks Movies. We're doing a very highly anticipated video here today. I know it's unlike what many other YouTubers are doing. Trust me, I'm going to explain to you why I'm doing this in a second because I am going to be doing a full Spider-Man universe ranking on my Patreon, but I feel like it's tiring, guys. I've been doing a lot of Spider-Man franchise rankings because a lot of the spin-off movies, the animated films, and the live-action films have been out. So today I'm going to rank all four Tom Holland era Spider-Man films, as that's what the moment is right now, the Tom Holland moment. So again, I'm ranking Homecoming, Far From Home, No Way Home, and Brand New Day. I'll let you know more about my other rankings and Spider-Man videos upcoming here on the channel at the very end of this video. So without further ado, let's get into the Tom Holland Spider-Man movie ranking. Starting at number 4 for me is easily Spider-Man Far From Home. Now, this is a movie that has really diminished on me, or declined, I guess, the more times I watch it. I was a big fan of this movie. I saw like 2 or 3 times in theaters. But then the more I watch it, the more I can poke holes in the flaws of the actual plot. This is still a film that is entertaining to watch. Like, this is not like a bad movie. This is a very entertaining film. Jake Gyllenhaal being inserted in here as Mysterio, he is so great in this movie. And even though if you are a comic book nerd like myself, you knew the Mysterio turn was coming. But I think for most audiences, they really didn't see that turn coming where, the glasses get held over and then Gyllenhaal becomes a villain just so quickly. And he is so good as a believable, good guy who Peter would be able to trust, but then the flip with a switch, he can be the biggest bad guy you can find. And he's great in this movie. I do like the ramifications of Endgame on this movie, where Spider-Man's always had that mentorship in this franchise, going back to Captain America Civil War, but especially in Homecoming with Tony Stark and Happy. And here, the loss of Tony has really affected him to a point where he just wants to have a normal summer, no superhero stuff, just wants to be a kid on vacation with his friends. And I still think this movie did a good job continuing the Tom Holland era of just being a high schooler. And even though we're not in the classroom in this movie, he still feels like a kid who at times is going to make stupid mistakes. Getting Nick Fury involved is really good. This is a categorically just a fun movie. Now, for me, where this movie starts to fall apart a bit is the plot. It is an insanely stupid concept for the movie where Tony Stark leaves these glasses off to basically a high schooler. And it's not just like regular glasses, it has tech to like destroy people. Like, there's a really bad sequence, in my opinion, in this movie where Peter accidentally almost kills a student that he does not like with like a missile that was launched from space. That definitely felt too much like a Saturday morning cartoon sequence that completely pulled me out of the movie. And also just underestimates, I guess, how bad the plot is, because it's like, why would Tony Stark give a high schooler probably one of the most powerful devices in the world? You can really poke holes. I'm not really a big fan of Ned's usage in this movie. He's just kind of like doing a improv bit with Betty Bryant the entire movie where they're together, they're not together. I didn't really find that bit funny whatsoever. It kind of felt like the writers had nothing for Ned to do because this movie was way more focused on Peter instead of Peter and MJ instead of Peter and Ned, like the first film. So they kind of felt lost. It's an enjoyable movie, but when you think about the plot for more than 5 minutes, you can really poke holes in this movie. So Spider-Man Far From Home comes in at number 4. Coming in at number 3 is Spider-Man Homecoming, a movie I really like. Like, I think this is an excellent Spider-Man film. And I think the biggest reason why this movie works compared to not just the Tom Holland films, but any of our Spider-Man adaptations so far in live action, is this is truly a high school film where it feels like everyone in the film is age appropriate. Finally, Peter Parker feels like a nerdy high school kid after we got just bad high school adaptations with the Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield era of films where none of those actors really felt like they were in high school. And while they might have clicked in one particular element of being a high schooler, Tom Holland really felt like he was the complete package playing high school Peter Parker. And this still is such a grounded story. I do people think over complicate things by saying, well, Tony Stark is in this movie, so it makes it just not feel like a true Spider-Man movie. I still feel this movie is a true Spider-Man movie. Tony Stark's in the film in like two or three particular sequences, but not major aspects of the film that affects the Spider-Man versus Vulture story. I still think Michael Keaton might be my second favorite Spider-Man villain of all time behind Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin. He's so great in it because he's just a regular guy who, yes, is breaking the law and using alien tech, but he's doing it to get by, to put food on the table for his family. He's not trying to end the world. He's not trying to destroy New York. He's just trying to, break the law, selling these alien weapons just to put food on the table. He's just a guy. He has no superpowers, and he reeks of being desperate. And you feel that. And then, of course, the reveal that the girl that obviously Peter wants to invite to the dance, Liz, is actually the daughter of Adrian Toomes. And that's probably the best twist, honestly, of the MCU. It's such a great reveal, and it makes the film way more personal. I love the Peter and Ned dynamic in this film. I do think the Tony Stark scenes are fantastic here, where Peter really did need a mentor. He's a high school kid going out things on his own. And I think, again, the scene with him and Tony, where Tony's like, if you're nothing without this suit, you don't deserve to have it. And the lesson that he learns because of that turns him into the Peter Parker we know in Spider-Man Brand New Day. Now, would I wish the third act had a little bit more of an exciting action scene? I like the actual heist scene where Vulture's trying to steal the weapons that's on their way to the other Avengers facility. That sequence is cool, but once they get to the ground, it's like a quick 2-minute fight between Vulture and Spider-Man. The only reason why it ends is because Vulture's suit explodes upon landing from the plane. I think they could have done a more fleshed out action set piece in the third act, which could have not made it more epic, but we didn't get tons of great action between Vulture versus Spider-Man. Could have been a really good sequence to do that. I liked them in the air, but once they got to the beach, it was just not that fun of an action set piece. So I still think this is a really great movie. I watched Spider-Man Homecoming a lot. I think this is a really, really good movie. At number 2 is Spider-Man Brand New Day, which, by the way, could have come up to number 1 on this list. The more times I watch it, I've only seen it one time. But takes Spider-Man Homecoming's, the grounded nature of Homecoming to the next level. This film is very grounded, very personal, and is way more concerned about Peter Parker than it is Spider-Man in a good way. Because obviously and again, I'm not spoiling anything for you guys for Brand New Day, so if you haven't seen Brand New Day, you just want to see where I put in my ranking, this is where it is. I'm not going into any spoilers. But this movie does a really good job of showing how lonely it is being a superhero. And it's lonely enough when you know people. Now putting yourself in Peter Parker's shoes where everyone has forgotten who he is, including his two most important people in his life, MJ and Ned, and they have lived all these normal lives that Peter dreamt of. He wanted to go to MIT. He wanted to go to college. He wanted those normal human experiences, but that spell actually gave Ned and MJ that experience while Peter's by himself in an apartment, saving the city, working with people, but they still have no idea who he is. And the Peter Parker person really has no life to him other than just working on tech to be Spider-Man. And I think the loneliness, the sadness that is this movie, I think really pierces through and makes this, I think, the most touching film of these 4 films. The Peter and MJ stuff for me is the best out of all 4 films in this one. Zendaya does a really good job selling that she's forgotten him and the miscommunications that will happen. I really enjoyed their dynamic. The Sadie Sink role, I think she's very good in this movie as well. I love the buddy cop element of Punisher and Spider-Man. I think that absolutely works in this film, the new score. And I think this is easily the best made of these 4 Tom Holland era films. This and Daniel Craig did a fantastic job. First person POV shots are amazing in this movie. The action scenes, the slow-mo, it feels like the more comic booky out of this era of Spider-Man films. And it easily has the best action set pieces of the franchise. Now, for me, the 2 issues were this movie is definitely overstuffed and there's a bit too much going on here. Sometimes there were 2 subplots in particular I wanted a better closure on than we got in the third act, but because there's so much going on, we really couldn't get to it. And the major non-spoiler negative for me is that this has a very similar third act to a very recent Marvel movie. As I said in my review, if that Marvel movie, which had the same third act as this one, came out like 10 years ago or 8 years ago, I would complain, but it wouldn't be like a major problem. Because this Marvel film came out very recently, it just feels too new and fresh in my mind where it kind of pulled me out of a couple sequences in the third act. But I am a massive fan of Spider-Man Brand New Day. I cannot wait to rewatch it very soon. But at number one for me is Spider-Man No Way Home. And I know for people that there are a lot of people out there who it felt like at the time everyone loved this movie. This and Endgame are the only two movies in my life that felt like an event to go see in the theater where people are clapping, hollering, hollering throughout the entire film, crying, getting emotional, standing up and cheering. It felt like a sporting event. And it's probably my favorite movie theater experience I've ever had watching a movie, so that might help. But I've also rewatched this movie for years now. And again, this film does mean a lot to me because, again, I grew up, the first Spider-Man movie came out the year I was born. I have grown up, like my first memory of going to the movies is seeing Spider-Man 3 in the theaters when I was 5 years old. So I have literally grown up with the Tobey Maguire era, with the Andrew Garfield era, and as well as the Tom Holland era. They've all had movies before I turned the age of 20. I really have grown up with each of these iterations, each of these villainous characters that get introduced in this movie. And yes, does this movie have plot conveniences to get to the multiverse element of this movie? Absolutely. If you have a problem with how they get to the multiverse part of this film, I get it. Because Doctor Strange does have to make a pretty idiotic decision. Obviously, Peter's making the stupid decision, but Doctor Strange should know better to make this stupid decision in the first act. It's easily the biggest problem of the movie. But once the multiverse element is here, yes, is it fan service to get all these people involved? Yes. But the movie found a really good itch and a really good story to tell involving the three Spider-Man grieving. Because after Aunt May's dead, Peter feels very alone. He doesn't feel like he can relate to anyone. And then he finds the two people that absolutely can relate to him, feeling like her death was on his hands, just like Tobey Maguire's Peter felt like he was responsible for Uncle Ben's death, and Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man felt he was responsible, excuse me, for Gwen Stacy's death. And that scene makes me cry every time the three of them on top of the building and crying. And it was a very emotional scene that I thought really resonated with me. It felt like the most Spider-Man I maybe have ever seen on the big screen. Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin, my favorite Spider-Man villain of all time, just from the '02 film, gets so much to do here as well, being a good guy for a second, then he flips that switch halfway through. Aunt May's death, I thought, really was well executed. Peter, MJ, Ned do feel like that bond at the very end of the movie. It's very emotional. And you really don't want Peter to lose this normalcy because, again, at the beginning of the movie, he loses that. Mysterio reveals who he is. And he just loves his life with his aunt, with Happy, with MJ and Ned. And he has to sacrifice all of that to save the world. And you really feel the heaviness of that. I love the action scene with Peter with Spider-Man and Doctor Strange in this movie. It was really well done. You can cheer, you can cry. This kind of has everything you want as a Spider-Man diehard fan. What is your ranking of the Tom Holland Spider-Man era films? Let me know down in the comments section. I'm going to be releasing in the next day or two, probably on Monday or Tuesday, my full spoiler review for Spider-Man Brand New Day. I wanted to wait until past the weekend so everyone can see it. And then on Monday or Tuesday, I'll do my full spoiler review for Spider-Man Brand New Day. Also next week, please subscribe to my Patreon. I'm going to be doing a full ranking of all of the Spider-Man movies. That will include the Tobey movies, the animated films, and the Andrew films. That's all going to be involved in that list. So please subscribe to my Patreon to the Cinephile tier or above to check out my ranking of the entire Spider-Man filmography. Thanks for joining me on this ranking, and I'll see you guys in another video very soon.